Hello Internet, welcome to my studio. My name is Ash, and on this episode we will be counting down the top 9 dark 90s movies. The dark 90s is a subgenre of film. These films have a dark, gothic, macabre, strange, odd or eerie aesthetic. This could be from the story, the makeup, the costumes, the filming style, the editing, or a combination of these cinematic elements. Number 9, The Witches, 1990, starring Angelica Houston, Mai Zetterling, and Jason Fisher. Produced by Jim Henson and adapted from the children's novel by Ronald Dahl, the story follows Luke, a young boy on vacation with his grandmother. Upon exploring the hotel, Luke discovers that a coven of witches is holding a convention at the hotel. When the Grand High Witch discovers that Luke has uncovered their secret, she decides to turn him into a mouse. Luke must then find his grandmother and find a way to defeat the witches. One of the reasons why this movie is on this list is because it was marketed towards children. This is a very disturbing film. The part that creeped me out the most was the beginning of this film, when they were discussing how witches can smell children. This film is rated PG, although today it would not be rated PG, and if it was made, they would probably make it goofy and campy. Number 8, The Nightmare Before Christmas, 1993, starring Chris Sarandon, Catherine O'Hara, and Paul Reubens. The first Tim Burton classic on this list. The movie follows Jack Skellington, the Pumpkin King of Halloween Town. Bored with his eternal life, decides to explore. Jack then stumbles upon Christmas Town. He loves the idea of Christmas so much that he decides to become Santa. Along with his dog Zero and his girlfriend Sally, Jack decides to spread Christmas cheer. One of my favorite parts about this film is the Watch's Burger King released. This film again was marketed towards children, and this happens to be the film that Disney tries to sweep under the rug. This film is rated PG. Number 7, Edward Scissorhands, 1990. Starring Johnny Depp, Winona Ryder, and Diane West, this film follows Edward, a lovable, brooding gothic 90s Frankenstein with hedge clippers for hands. Due to his creator's untimely demise, Edward is never finished. A local woman named Peg finds Edward and decides to take him home. Although kind and gentle, Edward's appearance keeps him a constant outcast. This is a dark, romantic teen comedy. Very 90s, very off the wall. You would not see something like this done today. This is a very odd film, but it works so well. This one is rated PG-13. Number 6, The Craft, 1996. Starring Robin Tunney, Neve Campbell, Fairuza Balk, and Rachel True. This movie follows the story of Sarah, a teenage girl who moves to LA. As Sarah adapts to her new high school and controlling her unique gifts, 3 local wannabe teenage witches notice Sarah's unique gifts and decide to befriend her, or do they? This film captures the gothic 90s teen era so well. This gem is rated R. Nothing But Trouble, 1991. Starring Chevy Chase, Demi Moore, and Dan Aykroyd. The movie follows Playboy Chris as he tries to seduce lawyer Diane and agrees to take her to Atlantic City. 2 acquaintances join them on their journey. Reckless driving leads them to Valcavania, an old coal mining town similar to Centralia, Pennsylvania, where the judge will then determine whether they are innocent or guilty. This is a very disturbing film. This also happens to be one that I watched frequently as a child. I probably shouldn't have, but I did. One of the most disturbing parts to this film is the bone crusher. If you don't know what that is, you'll just have to watch the film to find out. Some of the more interesting quirks to this film would be John Candy and drag, a prosthetic nose made out of and a song and a soundtrack performed by Digital Underground and Tupac Shakur. This one is rated R. Number 4, Sleepy Hollow, 1999. Starring Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci, and Christopher Walken. This is Tim Burton's adaptation of the Irvin Washington short story of the same name. The film follows Ichabod Crane, a New York City detective, as he is sent to the quiet village of Sleepy Hollow to investigate a series of murders. Ichabod meets Katrina Van Tassel, a white witch, the young Mazbeth, an orphaned boy, and a headless Hessian mercenary hell-bent on taking head. This is a beautifully done gothic film, especially because it's a period piece. The century just adds to the creepiness and the eeriness of this classic. This one is rated R. If I ever had a pet crane, I would name him Ichabod. Number 3, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, 1992. Starring Christy Swanson, Donald Sutherland, and Paul Reubens. This is the first adaptation of Joss Whedon's story, and the one he prefers the least. Buffy, a popular teen girl, discovers that she is the reincarnation of a famous warrior and vampire hunter. She begins to train all day to slay all night. Again, this is not the version that Joss Whedon intended. However, this happens to be my favorite version of the film. It's very dark, slightly campy, and captures the dark 90s perfectly. If you haven't seen this adaptation, I highly recommend it. The TV series followed this a few years later. This classic is rated R. Number 2, Batman Returns, 1992, starring Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, and Michelle Pfeiffer. When Batman Went Goth. In Tim Burton's installment to the Batman franchise, Bruce Wayne, or Batman, is battling the Penguin. The Penguin is running for mayor under the guise of a poor lowly outcast and is being backed by businessman Max Schreck. Max decides to throw his assistant, Selena Kyle, out a window. Selena is resurrected by Stray Cat and returns home to destroy her apartment and proceed to create her infamous catsuit. Now Batman must battle two villains to save Gotham. This was a very gothic interpretation of Gotham, and this is probably one of my favorite Batman films next to Batman Forever. Judge me if you will. It's dark, gothic Gotham. One of the best and yet most disturbing scenes is when Selina Kyle comes home to destroy her apartment after she's been resurrected and becomes Catwoman. This one is rated R and highly recommended. Number 1, The Addams Family, 1991, starring Raul Julia, Angelica Houston, and Christopher Lloyd. In this remake of the iconic 1960s television show, Gomez and Morticia have been desperately searching for years to find Gomez's brother, Fester. During a seance held by the family, Fester appears at the mansion doors. Or is it Fester? This is by far my favorite adaptation of the Addams Family. I might be biased because I was raised on the 90s, but I think it's a great adaptation. Angelica Houston is absolutely wonderful as Morticia Addams, and Raul Julia's performance is spectacular. If you have not seen this movie, I highly recommend it. They're creepy, they're kooky, they're dysfunctional, and slightly disturbing. This is definitely a film that I watched over and over again as a child. I love this one. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend it. This one is rated PG-13. I hope you all have enjoyed my countdown of the top 9 dark 90s movies. I really enjoyed this episode. I understand that some of you might disagree with the films on this list. I did put a lot of time and consideration into making this list, and I'm pretty sure there might be a sequel to this video. So stay tuned for that. As always, I thank you all so much for watching, and if you would like to see me again, please click the like and subscribe button. Good night.